Okay, hello. What I am going to endeavor to do in this video is provide a comprehensive, total guide to how you ought start finding sponsors, get the amount of money for sponsors, what you should charge, and how you reach out to these sponsors and how you find them, because I have found no comprehensive guide that covers all of these principles and really teaches you about them. So that is the objective of this video. Before we begin, I'm Devin Nash. I run a creative agency called Novo. We build intelligent campaigns for brands and connect them with creators across all new media platforms. So I love talking about marketing. I love talking about advertising. I love talking about this stuff. But one of the things I see a lot is that creators don't know how to price themselves. They don't know when they should start reaching out for sponsorships. One of the most commonly asked questions that I get. And a lot of times creators rely on agencies to go get this information for them, and they don't understand the fundamentals, which is often predatory. So I want to solve that by explaining this in this video. So I think that gets done by separating this into three categories. Number one is, when do I start? Basically, how big do you need to be to start reaching out to sponsors and why? How much do you charge? So we're getting into the pricing and the formulas behind that. And then how do you actually finally reach out to people? And I'll actually include some scripts and some stuff that you can use directly. And this is a highly tactical video, so you will actually be able to walk out of this and just go and do this if I have succeeded. All right, so I want to separate the types of content because it matters what platform you're on, right? So we'll start with like live content. So if you're doing something like YouTube Live or Twitch, when are you going to start reaching out to sponsors? Well, and why, right? Well, generally, I think about 500 concurrent viewers to 750 concurrent viewers is a good time to say, okay, I can probably reach out to sponsors and I can monetize this and they would be interested in my channel. A lot of sponsors these days, take it from somebody that's running millions of dollars in brand money and campaigns, a lot of sponsors these days are not looking at big influencers anymore as much. What they find is that there's a amount of viewership in live streams that gets to the point where you have a ton of viewers, but the amount I have to pay you to activate for a campaign is exponential because of the competition. But the actual engagement of that campaign, so how many people are going to buy that product or listen to that advertisement, is going to be smaller. So if you have 30,000 viewers, I have to pay a huge premium to get in front of you, but that may not be the actual results of the campaign may not demonstrate the worth of that money, okay? Whereas with smaller influencers, we kind of call them micro influencers, people that are between, I'd say, 500 to 5,000 CCUs, concurrent viewers. We start to see these people get way better engagement. Their communities tend to be much more niche, much more formed, and they tend to know, like, and trust that influencer more. So they pay more attention when that influencer advertises products. So don't be afraid to start reaching out to sponsors around this size. Why not smaller? Okay, for two reasons. One reason is the rates that you're going to earn below this number are inconsequential, but the main reason is you should be focusing exclusively on growth. So for live streamers, keep in mind that for every advertisement you do, for every person that you're running towards an ad, that is time that you are spending and resources that you are spending driving your community towards something that is not your content and your worth and why they ought pay attention to you. So it's worse than that though. You also run the risk every time of doing an ad, especially if it's an ad for inauthentic things, like things that nobody likes, like NFTs or something like that. You're running the risk of alienating your community and making them feel like you are not authentic. And if you lose that authenticity, you lose everything. So you have to be really careful with this. You should really be focusing exclusively on growth. For reference, I had a top 1% Twitch stream. I never took a sponsorship. I never once took a sponsorship for it. I just felt that authenticity was really important. Now, I have the ability to do that because I run a company on the side. Well, I guess my content is my side thing. I run a company. But it's important to note that I did that intentionally, right? Because that authenticity was so important. So just keep that in mind. Okay, but what about if you are not doing live streaming? So you're on, let's talk about VOD or you make videos, okay? Generally, I think 50,000 to 100,000 subscribers is a good point to do this. So once you start to see the formulas of how much to charge, I think this will make more sense. But the reasons are the same, right? Before that, you should really be exclusively growing your channel. I'm going to say there's a caveat here. And I would say that if you get an average of 20,000 views over 90 days, meaning on average your videos do 20,000 views per video over 90 days, then I think that's a good place to start getting sponsors regardless of whether you are regardless of your subscriber count. These are just like numbers, right? Because at that point you're making about $600 per ad, so plus maybe about $100 to $200 in advertising revenue, or like kind of $800 a video. So three times a week, if you did $800 a video, that's like $9,600 a month. That's north of 100K a year. So you got to well into a full-time position that way. So that's a good, and we'll explain all that formula later when we get to how much you charge. So I think for videos, 50,000 to 100,000 subscribers, hold out as long as you can. Definitely not like 49,950 start emailing sponsors. You're going to feel like you want to make money off something that you're doing. That's understandable, right? But I can't stress enough, and it's outside the context of this video. I know I'll ramble too much if I get into this, but I want to tell you, like, focus on your core content. Like, what is it that is making you unique that people want to watch you for? Focus on things like watch time. Focus on things like where people are dropping off of attention, where your content is failing. Those are so much more important than making money, because all that stuff will come. I know it doesn't seem like it. If you're a small creator, you're like, man, I'm doing this on the side. I'm working a full-time job. I get it. There's a lot of people in that struggle. But if you want to be different and you want to be a success, and you want to be in that top percentage, you have to be a part of the mindset. And part of that mindset is, a big part of that mindset is creating content for the sake of the quality of it and putting money on the side for as long as you can. Okay, what about social followings? So social followings to be things like Twitter or Instagram, etc. So this number, I put at 10K. So here's why. 10,000 followers is the minimum that we've found. When we reach out to book publishers and we're trying to do deals related to product, 10,000 followers is their minimum. So I like that, because I think at that point, you can start doing things on an impression-based basis. So there's impressions, there's clicks, there's product buys. Impressions meaning you get a certain number of views per post. This is when you'll start to turn heads about 10,000 followers. This is easier than any of these other two things. I think the hardest thing here, 500 to 750 concurrent viewers, is tough on any live streaming platform, especially now. 50,000 to 200,000 subscribers is less tough. Average of 20,000 views is pretty tough. As in, we're already in these two metrics, we're in the 0.01% of content creators. Keeping in mind that a large number of those people are inconsistent, but like consistent content creators probably still 1% to 2%. Social following a lot easier, but you could bot a lot of these follows. A lot of these follows could be not legitimate, so you have to kind of like, this is like really, really highly variable. I'm just trying to give you some kind of metric to start considering from. Obviously, more is better. And then lastly, I'll do newsletter or direct content, so like Patreons or like number of subscribers here. This is any number is viable. CTAs can start immediately. I say CTAs means calls to action, means I tell you to buy something. Can start immediately, as long as it's not the content. So what do I mean by that? So like for a newsletter, if you send out a newsletter that just says buy this stuff, that's not good to any number of subscribers. But if you have 250 subscribers and you send out a high quality newsletter that also contains some kind of product that either you or someone else through an affiliate program is going to want you to do, then that's fine, right? Be like the content quality is fine. And those people have already decided to be a direct user. So the in order of like people who decide to do something and listen to you, newsletters and direct content, Patreon people, like that's your core audience, right? Whereas subscribers, they have made a decision they watched the video, they liked you enough that they'll probably come back. Social following is very ephemeral. Those people have almost no loyalty to you, most likely. But sometimes it depends on like what kind of content you're creating. More educational content will create more loyalty among those followings, but you can't rely on it. And live viewers are generally not as reliable as other people think. Again, probably content for another video. Okay, so I would say these are the points where you should start saying, okay, I should get some sponsors, or I'm able to get some sponsors. I should start thinking about this problem. And again, the longer that you can hold out, the better. All right, so that's section 1. I think pretty straightforward. How much do I charge? So we're going to get super tactical here. There are some YouTube videos. Before I did this talk, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, see if anybody else had this answer. And then I was like, man, people don't have this answer. So I want to do two things. I'm going to give you a simple answer, and I'm going to give you the detailed answer. The simple answer is for people that just want to not understand all the BS like marketing stuff that goes into this, though I encourage you to do that anyway and understand the real fundamentals. And just give you a formula that is used in the agency world. But then I'm going to give you the detailed answer about why it works, because that's what we do on this channel. We talk for 45 minutes about stuff, and the people watch it somehow. Okay, so the simple answer is really, really easy. You take the average views, okay, over 30 days. So we're going to take, this will be for like a video. It'll make sense, okay? So average views over 30 days, the marketing term for this is V30. You divide that by 1,000, and then you multiply it by 30 or 50. All right. So that's a very simple formula for average views for video on like YouTube. Okay, but I'm going to explain this formula. This isn't even the detail part yet, but I'm going to explain the simple formula to understand why we're multiplying it by 30 or 50. All right, that's because this 30 or 50 is a dollar amount, right? So if we, let's just do some math. Like if we get a video with 10,000 views, okay, we divide it by 1,000, and then we times it by 30. This is $300, and this is for a 30-second ad placement. That's important because 60 seconds is double, okay? So it'd actually be $600 for 60 seconds. You could generally throw this formula at any agency or sponsor and explain yourself, and they will be okay with that, okay? And I'm going to get into a little bit of the detail, then I'm going to get into a lot of detail. We're going to get super technical. So the little bit of detail here is this 30 or 50 number is called CPM. So CPM means how much do I pay for 1,000 views or impressions or whatever's, okay? I should say views or impressions, because if clicks and engagement are different, they're highly valued because they're someone directly interacting with something. But how much should I pay for a view? So how as a sponsor am I thinking about this? Well, I'm thinking, what is my lifetime value per customer, and what does it cost for me to acquire them? So for most people, if I sell a product that's like $100 or something, right, it's going to cost me hopefully below that to acquire that customer. But even if it costs me above it, the lifetime value of that customer might be they buy that same product 5 or 6 times, right, or more. And so the lifetime value is whatever it is, right? If you are a sponsor, you should know that number. And so going onto YouTube and saying, okay, I think out of 1,000 people, maybe 1 or 2 are going to end up buying my product, right? That's called your conversion rate. That's what that is, right? And then those people are going to pay me $250 per person. That is my lifetime value of my customer on average, right? Then you can afford to pay $30 or $50 to an influencer to get those customers. Does that all make sense, right? So you could pay actually $100, assuming on your costs, right? And you still have $150 left over for a $250 lifetime value. Okay, so most sponsors are making a killing on this stuff because their lifetime value of their customers is quite high, and they're paying influencers or paying whoever or ads or whatever a fraction of that. Okay, so 30 to 50 is your CPM number. CPM is used across the entire gaming world, the entire marketing world, as a metric of what in general to charge. So YouTube CPMs, which they charge for ads, okay, like for gaming, for example, are about $6 to $12, but in financial category are about $40 to $50. That means like after the 45% split, like that's your actual CPM from YouTube. So that means that they're charging in the financial category, they're probably charging the brand like $60 to $80. So and in gaming, somewhere around $12 to $20 or whatever. So why is this so different, and why do I talk about this? It's because the amount you charge, this number, the 30 to 50, is highly affected by your category. Meaning that if you are in gaming or entertainment or something, you charge a lower rate. Why is that? Well, it's because people that are in the gaming sector, like if you're doing like Minecraft content or something, you are going to, the people that are prone to watch that content are not as dedicated of buyers, and they are not going to relate to it in the same way as, like, let's say the financial category, where if you have a financial app and the lifetime value of that customer is much higher, right? We just explained that. Like the lifetime value of customers in the financial category is crazy, right? Like let's say I bring you on to an app like Robinhood or something. The lifetime value of that customer is astronomical. It's in the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. The lifetime value of an Amazon customer, like for Amazon to convert you to Amazon groceries, the average value of a person that goes on to Amazon groceries is $10,000 a year. That's how much they'll spend, right? So think about how much Amazon can pay to acquire that kind of customer. It's why they put so much money into programs like that. to online ordering. So like people like HelloFresh or Dinnerly or companies like that do meals to your door. So the lifetime value of these customers is insane. They're paying every month, right? So these kind of categories, if you are in this kind of category as an influencer or a small content creator, you could charge a lot more. You could charge, actually, I've seen up to $100, right? And that changes this formula a lot, because if we multiply this by 100, all of a sudden this isn't $300 per video, right? Like this is exponential, because if you multiply that by 100 all of a sudden, now you're charging $1,000 per 30-second ad placement, right? So you're getting 70% more than you would just because the CPM is different. So you need to, that's why I'm going into this detail, because you need to understand what category you're in and what you can charge for it. So how do you do that, right? Well, how do you understand what kind of category you are in? So now we need to get into some super duper detailed stuff, okay? So you got to ask yourself some questions first. So this is the detailed answer of how much you can charge, okay? So if you are not worried about any of this, you could just basically use this formula and you understand more or less, like, you know, you choose a number like $30, $50, whatever. Just explain to sponsors what I just explained to you, and people will get that. They'll be fine. Everything will be gravy. But if you want the super science answer and you want to really understand how to do this, it's going to help you, because you're going to be able to optimize. Again, like I just showed you how if you understand your category, you can make 70% more, right? This is important stuff for you to understand the fundamentals of, because you as a content creator, you as a creator, you as an influencer are a business, right? And you need to be able to communicate this stuff, or at least know if your agency that's representing you is is taking advantage of you because you don't know this stuff, which is the case in way more deals than you'd like to admit. So, all right, got to ask yourself some questions on detail here. So first is, how much does it cost me, the influencer, to create the content? Pretty obvious, right? But you need to think about that. So if you are spending $1,000 per video, and then you come in with a 30-second ad placement that's going to net you $300, well, you're still at a $700 loss, unless Google Ads is going to make up that difference in view count because your views are high enough. So hopefully, if you're spending $1,000 to make a video, the amount of views you're getting is justifying that cost through ads. But you see, you have to price your sponsorships competitively, because it depends on how much you cost. I think this is pretty straightforward. We probably don't have to explain this that much. So second one is, am I exclusive? And if I am, how long? Does this, actually, I'll put the next question next, but just this worth going over. Am I exclusive? And if I am, how long? So let's say you're going to represent a financial app, and they say you can't do any other financial apps for 6 months. Okay, that has a price to it, right? You need to be aware of that, and you should charge much higher for your exclusivity. This is one of the reasons why I am so harsh on Twitch, that they contractually require exclusivity that you can't stream anywhere else, because that should be worth a huge amount of money. But every day, partners and affiliates are giving up that right to be able to stream on the platform, and they don't understand exclusivity is worth so much. People pay hundreds of millions of dollars, like the NFL, NBA, to be on certain TV channels, esports, the way that publishing and broadcasting works. The entire world of broadcasting is dependent on who owns the rights to what. But we don't utilize that as influencers. We don't understand that has value. But everybody inherently understands that have value. You can charge for that. So, secondly, like as a kind of a corollary to this, does this sponsor have the rights to share or advertise my likeness? For how long? So if you are going to get sponsored by an energy drink and you set a rate for the views, can that company use your likeness in their products and advertisements and case studies or whatever forever? If they can, you should be able to charge for that. You should charge a flat rate for that, right, to be able to do that. It's called a licensing fee. So you probably heard about these, right? Licensing fees exist everywhere. You should have a flat rate for that licensing fee. What should that be? Well, it's proportional to the size of you as an influencer. If they lock you out of a category for a certain amount of time, that licensing fee could be very high, in the tens of thousands of dollars. Unfortunately, there's a whole nother calculation of how much you should charge. So that's yeah, I mean, I would not let a likeness go of even a small content creator for less than like $3,000 to $5,000, to give you an idea of like where that would be. And so within these numbers, that's where you should start thinking. But it would take a whole nother video to like explain that. So we're gonna keep going. Okay, so once you've asked these questions, there's one more question. If I was not doing this sponsorship, what is the opportunity cost of doing something else? Opportunity cost being you're spending 30 seconds of your video hyping up someone's product? What would be the cost if you were, and also you're producing it, you're going to do this ad, you're going to rehearse for it. What's the cost of that versus doing something else? So you need to make that distinction as well. This will become more and more relevant as you have more and more sponsors that are trying to reach out to you, because you'll actually have like a number for this. You'll see it's like, I've got 4 potential sponsors and the opportunity cost of doing this is X. So I know they need to pay me Y, and one sponsor has to pay me more than both of those numbers to make it worth it. Then this kind of question you have to ask. All right. So let's get into the real deep stuff and figure out exactly how to determine something. Oh man, this is going to get crazy. Okay, so to understand how to actually price yourself in a super direct way across any platform, you have to understand a couple of things. First one is impressions. Next one is clicks. Next one is conversions. Impressions is any view of your content. Okay, so that would be a YouTube view, a view of someone on your Twitter post, somebody viewing your picture on Instagram. Clicks are, or engagements. Well, actually, engagements are different. You have to understand 4 things. Okay. Clicks are people who have clicked a link or some activation. Engagements are like likes, upvotes, whatever. The user has pressed a button to acknowledge your post, more or less, right? Or video or whatever. And a conversion is someone actually buys or spends money in some way, okay, for a product or service or whatever. So it could be a subscription, it could be all kinds of things. All right. So each one of these has a different rate attached to it, right? Impressions are going to be the least valuable because it's just somebody that has made a view of your content. But don't underestimate impressions, right? The entire advertising world is based on impressions, down from television to billboards to everything. Impressions are views dominate the world. So the vast majority of deals get done without any of these other 3 things considered, which I think is kind of influencers shortchanging themselves, because oftentimes influencers and agencies will use formulas like this. This is just a formula for impressions, right? And they hope that the value of the category, like we explained here, makes up for like the engagement, clicks, and conversions. But the reality is, like, let me give you 2 different scenarios, okay? Let's say that you get 1,000 impressions. And then out of that, somebody gets 100 sales. Amazing, right? A 10% conversion rate. That's like unheard of, right? So 10% of people decide out of those 1,000 people that view it, a normal conversion rate is like less than 1%. So like 10% of people say, I'm going to buy this product, right? Okay, same exact situation, but another influencer, 1,000 impressions, but 1 person buys the product. Right? Should that price be the same? Even if the category is the same? Could be the same exact category. It could be like, right? The difference is the influencer is more engaged. They have a better call to action. Maybe they do a custom ad, whatever, right? That should not be the same price. But in most of the advertising world, it is the same price. And for most of you, you are getting paid the same price. And that's not fair. So you should know from your sponsors and people that you activate with how many conversions you're getting, how many clicks that you're getting, and how many engagements you're getting. And then going forward, once you have that data, you should charge every sponsor that you possibly can based on that data. So you're setting an impression rate as your base rate, and then your engagement and clicks and conversions will be higher. And you might say, well, Devin, doesn't that mean the sponsors will just immediately write me off and be like, man, this person is too complicated, like they're charging in all these different tiers? No. Sponsors will be amazed that you as an influencer have this kind of data and that you can back it up, and they'll be happy to pay these numbers. Like, you have to understand, most influencers are a joke when it comes to business stuff. Like, if you're watching this and you're already like, how far are we into this video? All right, let's do it. All right, we're 23 minutes into this video. That means it's time for the secret call out, okay? If you're 23 minutes into this video and you're still watching, leave a comment. There's nothing I like more than reading the secret people that are still here, the 23-minute mark, okay? If you're 23 minutes into a Devin Nash video and you are now listening to the detailed answer about how much you can charge, you are already a sophisticated influencer. Congratulations, okay? Or someone that's really interested in it, okay? So you have to know that you are part of a minority of people. Most influencers don't care about this stuff, right? Like, agencies take 40-50% of their deal off the top. I see it every day. Every day I see this. Take 40 or 50% of the money they could have off the deal, and the influencer doesn't say a thing. Why? Because they don't take the time to watch these videos. They don't take the time to actually like understand this stuff. They don't care. They to them, it's easier to just click the start streaming button and not worry about it. Okay, you're not like that. All right, you are a superhero, so let's keep going. So you gotta like set this up, and the sponsor will know that, and the sponsor will say, "Man, you understand your average engagement and clicks and conversions for every like deal, and you have like a case study, for example. Well, you just put this up in a paint, like just type, this is how many I got off of my sponsor. Which, by the way, like once you do a deal with a sponsor, all this takes is a follow up email. They'll give you all these numbers, and then you have them, right? And then you can use them, and or not use them if they're really bad. But you can just go on impressions. But either way, right? You have control of it. You have the power of it. It's a lot better. So impressions, engagement, and clicks and conversion. But how do we price these things? Okay, so let's give a situation where we're going to take 10,000 impressions. This could be a post or a video or views, whatever you want. Okay, like however you want to do this. This got 10 clicks and 1 buy. All right. So how do I know? So the impressions I already taught you, use the formula. Okay, we're done. Not going to repeat that. But clicks, how do we do that? So for clicks, you can do 2 things. One, you can go to Word Tracker. You can find a keyword. So a keyword like Minecraft. And you can see how much Google charges you for it. Kind of weird that that's the second result, but okay, we're going to go for it. So Google thinks that, sorry, we got to click on PPC. Google thinks that this is $1.16 per click. Okay. So that's what you charge. Basically, you could just charge with the AdWords rate, but right. Simple as that. No, because you're an influencer, right? So your click is going to be more valuable than a Google ad. This is a super important concept to understand. Your click is going to be more valuable than a Google ad, right? Why? Because the person that is clicking on it likes and trusts you, the individual, as an influencer, meaning that you have more value to that user. So right now, if you've been watching a lot of my videos and you like what I say, if I tell you to buy something right now, you would have a higher chance of buying it than like if you saw it on Google Ads, right? Like you're disconnected from that Google ad, but like and trust me as an authentic source. So if I tell you to buy something, you would have a higher chance of buying it. So the click that you click on to go to my so whatever I've sent you to has much higher value than a traditional ad. So you might take that base price from Google AdWords, and then you might times it by 10, 20, 30, right? Or I'd say up to 50. Again, it's kind of depending on category, right? It's very variable depending on category. And so then you start charging, like it's completely reasonable, I would say, to charge like $10 a click. I think 50 is kind of insane. So let's like just leave these numbers. Or 30, maybe the max you want to do. Because again, this is also dependent on the more intel you can get on your sponsors. So if you the lifetime value of that customer, you know exactly what you can charge them per click, right? Because like if they make $100 off of if they make $1,000 off of the lifetime value of a customer, and you get 100 clicks, and one person's going to buy, well then I can charge $10 a click, right? Pretty simple. So 1 buy, that buy again based on LTV of customer. But I think once you like just charge for like clicks and engagement, you're pretty much done. So the total value of this deal would be, okay, let's talk about, oh, sorry, I didn't do engagements. Okay. Oh, okay. So we're at 10,000, 1,000. So how do we determine engagements? Engagement, like 100 engagements. Okay. Generally, I think engagements should be done on a heightened CPM basis. So I'm just going to give you some numbers that the industry uses because it's just easier to do. Typically $10 to $20 per CPM is on Twitter, Instagram, and then typically YouTube or Twitch is going to be $40 to $50. Again, these are justification. These are way more engaged users. And then TikTok is like super low. TikTok right now is like $3 to $10. All right, so you can just use those formulas. I thought I had in my notes the specifics as to why this was. I guess I don't, so I just couldn't give you those answers. And generally speaking, these are just the numbers the industry uses. Honestly, they're like pretty ad hoc. I mean, but this is the stuff that people accept, so you might be able to get higher or lower depending. Okay, so so then at the end of the day, you've got 10,000 impressions. Okay, so you've used the formula to do that. So you divided it by 1,000, and then you've multiplied that by, let's say, 20, because that's like the CPM on Twitter. This is like a Twitter post example. Okay, so 1,000 times 20, right? Divide by 1,000. So that gets you, I don't feel like doing math. That's like super simple math. $200 per post. Then you have 10 clicks. So you know that, let's say it's the Minecraft thing. So I'm going to do like a 4x multiplier. So I was like 10, 20x max. I'm going to do a 4x multiplier on the $1.16. So I'm just going to call it $4 per click for like to be simple. It's way too high, these clicks, I think. I need to go back and correct that. So $4 per click. Okay. And there's 10 clicks. So that's $40. And then we don't know how many buys, so we can't charge that. So total is $240 for this post. Pretty straightforward, not bad. I don't think any sponsor would say no to that. Click note on this clicks thing. Yes, I think I elevated that cost because I was considering, I do this because a lot of the value of the types of deals, there's an inherent bias for me. A lot of the deals that I do are very high lifetime value per customer. It just tends to be the brands I work with. So I can do this and they'll still make a lot of money. But for a lot of brands, they're working on much thinner margins. So for example, like a computer company, right? A company that sells high-end gaming PCs or something actually works on like razor thin margins. So they may need to work on like even like $1 to $5 a click. So I would say it's highly variable here, right? It's really important. But that's data that you can give them and you can say, okay, I wouldn't even like charge on the buys. I'd just be like, look, what's the engagement and what's the impressions? And then like, we're going to charge based on that basis. You get something like for this Twitter post example. Okay. If you don't know your data, then just charge based on impressions initially and go to a website like Social Blade, and you can generally see what ads are paying off of YouTube. So if you go to like Social Blade and you look for me, I think generally speaking, it'll tell you good results. So like, here you go. You got the B tier influencer here. It's kind of telling you like what the average CPMs per day are and earnings are. So you can work off that. Just going off of like your competitors to do it. But if you don't know your data, just you should generally lowball. So this is actually really good before we go on to the next section. If you don't know your data, you should generally lowball people. You should give them a really preferential rate just based on impressions using this formula, and use a lower CPM even if you know you can get higher, because your objective is to blow that sponsor deal out of the water and use it as a good case study. So the lower that you come in at, the higher chance you have at converting successfully, because you're just charging less, right? So like the less a brand has to spend on you, the more likely that the campaign is going to be a success. So you want at least like 5 successful campaigns before you start like really charging a lot, especially if you're smaller, which the vast majority of you listening to this are going to be like within this beginning range. So you should be like using the lower ends of these numbers. Okay. Like you shouldn't be charging like $50 CPMs IMO. Like you should be charging like $20, $30 CPMs per like 1,000 views. And I think that's like completely reasonable. All right. I think that's all on how to charge. And if there's any questions or anything, then you can just post them in the comments and we'll do some follow-up. But I think that's hopefully it's a complicated subject. And just realize, like, before we leave this subject and I go into how to reach out to people, realize, like, man, so much of the advertising world is actually arbitrary, that like these CPMs and formulas are actually pretty solid, but the CPM stuff is so variable, and what to pay is so variable, because every sponsor and every company that's going to go in for advertising does it on like a slightly different basis, has a different value per customer, is going to convert differently. So like the more information that you have, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set you up with the fundamentals to understand how this process is actually thought about, because all these like numbers you can't take as gospel. And at the end of the day, there's just deals on YouTube and deals on Twitter that are done where somebody pays literally $10 for a post and it gets millions of engagements. There's also deals that are done where someone pays like a Kardashian $2 million and like they're never going to see that ROI ever, right? Like that happens way more often, I think, where people like pay too much for influencers. But just the example is like the range is like, so like you can like get a dude to paint your fence for $5 or $500, right? Like deal value is very very ephemeral, it's very ethereal. But if you understand why you can charge it, like, okay, my category generally pays $30 and my average views are this. So I'm going to do my average views divided by 1,000 multiplied by 30, and I'm going to charge you this. If you can explain that to a sponsor, you're much, much more likely to get a deal than you are if you don't understand this and you let someone else define these rates. So it's just important to understand the fundamentals here. All right. How do you reach out to people? So there's a lot of BS about this. There's a lot of God, I just hate the way that some people do videos. That's why I do these like really long form videos, long form talks. It's not for everybody, but if you like want the data, you want the information, like that's why you hopefully come here. I'm just gonna write out emails that I would send and explain why I would send them in two different categories. So the first one is going to be a dog food product. Okay, so you have a dog that sits with you on your stream, and your dog eats because that's what dogs do. So you want a dog food sponsor because if the dog eats that food and you talk about it, and other people who have dogs relate to your dog, they're going to buy the dog food. Okay, so you have a favorite dog food that your dog likes. I'm not a dog owner, so I don't know like how you know a dog likes a food. I'm sure there's a way. I should watch a YouTube video about it, a deep dive. All right. So what do? Well, here's the email. Oh, first, how do I find these people? Guess what? It's super easy. Go to LinkedIn. I sort of got this like next like 1 minute is just going to be like more valuable than like any other YouTube video. Okay, so you just go to YouTube video, go to LinkedIn, influencers partnerships, dog food. I don't know. I'll get somebody, right? Like, and I'll just look at social media specialists or whatever. Look at influencer partnerships, influencer managers, influencer manager, right? Or literally just contact I'll go to the website and literally use the contact form. And like it'll work. It sounds crazy, but like when I like how to reach out to people, you just email them every time, and they'll answer you. I mean, most likely if it's like just some random dog food company or whatever, they've probably like not heard of many influencers, or the influencers they do hear of are people that are like, "Hi, can I have all kinds of free product? Stay at a hotel, sleep with your wife, do all this other stuff so that for free because I'm an influencer." Right? They're not actually like looking. They're not like looking for a transaction or a partnership or a deal. So this will be a welcome thing to most companies, just coming from the experience of sending thousands of these emails as an agency and as an influencer individually when I used to do this. So favorite dog food that your dog likes, let's call it knowledge dog foods. Okay. So your subject is going to be something like this. I love this subject. This subject could be something like, my dog eats product every day and I have a YouTube channel. Can we work together? Super great subject, right? It's highly personal. So a big part of reaching out to people is like filtering out, I am not a robot. Literally the CAPTCHA, right? Like it's like, I am not a robot. My dog eats product every day and I have a YouTube channel. Can we work together? Super straightforward. Easy. Your subject doesn't need to shouldn't look programmatic or shouldn't look automated. Never ever like copy and paste the same thing to people, like write a custom thing, right? Another really straightforward one, looking for partnership to help advertise product. I don't like this one as much as I like this one. This one's way more authentic and it looks like it's coming from a real human being. Okay. We're going to start with like the third line. First line is, hey, dog foods. So again, just using the name, right? I've gone through 10 different dog food brands. And my dog loves yours the most. Okay. So what is this? This is called a familiarity statement. Familiarity statement means I am not a robot and actually interested in this, right? You're trying to get to the human who's reading your email, and it's just a straightforward statement. So this should all be some kind of familiarity statement. Hey, what's up, Bandai Namco? I absolutely love Elden Ring. Favorite thing. I'm 400 hours in. Thank you so much for making this game. Fantastic way to start like an email, right? Always start with some kind of familiarity statement, so it doesn't look like you're a salesperson. It doesn't look like you're like some bot. It doesn't look like you're copy and pasting. It looks like you're authentically interested in this partnership. All right, second line. I'm excited about your product, and I also run a YouTube channel with X subscribers. Could we work together to make a video about your product? So super easy. I'm excited about your product and also run a YouTube channel with X subscribers. Tells them what kind of influencer you are and how many subscribers they're dealing with, and also establishes you as this is called a qualifying statement. So qualifying statement means that you are a person who is worthy of attention. And so you need something to qualify you. I am a influencer. So notice at the beginning of this video, what did I do to qualify myself? I said, I own an agency. This is why you should listen to me, right? Like you can listen to any other people on this or whatever, but I run millions of dollars of brand stuff. I can tell you how this works. So the qualifying statement is very important to get people to listen to you. Familiarity statement is to set it up. Quality statement is next for the second one. Could we work together to make a video about your product? Okay. The other thing that this does, and this specific syntax, is it kind of like starts to let them know that there's a business transaction that's going to happen. And then you're going to use this line. I have some ideas, and this is going to be like one idea. So it's going to be like, I have an idea where my dog eats your food for how I would do a video. Say the video. Have you done any work with influencers in the past? Question, right? This lets them know that this is a business transaction. Like, here's what I would do for the video. Have you done any work like this in the past? Also, asking questions gets them more likely to respond to you. I hope we can work together. Can we talk about this via call later this week? Right? Super simple, sets them up for a call to action, and sets them up for next steps. You always want to have next steps in sales every time. Okay? Very easy email. Don't write 5 paragraphs about how your dog came from the future to rescue you, and the only way to feed it was the dog food. Although that might actually is so unique, it might actually get the attention. But like, way too many people, like, they just overcomplicate this process. It is a super, super easy, authentic ask in every single case, right? So if you just send this email, has a super high familiarity, and if we were going to do this for a video game, because I said I'd give you 2 examples, let's say like subject would be, okay, hey, I love your product and I want to feature it on my platform and channel, right? I'd say I love, because I remember personal. And again, you've got the same structure, right? So like body, specific call to action or story, it's just very short, 2 lines, 2 sentences, short ask, and then follow up on how to get in touch, next steps. That's it. That's the formula. Use LinkedIn to find people, or just use their contact form. Don't underestimate, like, literally the hello at company will get in front of most, like, companies want customers and they want to answer emails. It's so weird how, like, people don't understand this. Like, we answer and see every single correspondence that comes into Novo. Like, we pay attention to it. We might not respond to everything, but like, we'll see every single one. And if it's authentic and it's something that can benefit us, we want to do that. People think that like only agencies or whatever can reach out to you. I think as an influencer, small creator, like, you can do this yourself, right? Like, and they want to hear from you. That's the thing. It's like, if you can authentically, if you have a dog that authentically eats this product and you authentically can talk about it to other dog owners, they want to do this deal with you. It might take some education on their part if they've never done deals with influencers before, but if you say you have this number of subscribers and you know the data that I just told you and you can run them through it, like, you're going to get a deal. So let's say you don't get a deal with that dog food product. We'll just do this to 10 to 15 different dog foods. And like, one thing I think that you could do that's like really good is just send like 1 or 2 of these. If you're in the if you're at the size that I'm talking about, or you're larger than that, you know, you could send 1 to 2 of these emails, 1 email a day, even out to like just brands you're like go on Notepad, you know, Devin's favorite thing, and just brainstorm. What are the kind of things I like? Green tea, Zen Buddhism, martial arts. God, I sound like okay. Never mind. Meditation. I gotta stop being so woke. What else do I like that's not woke? Rain. Okay, there's some company that bottles that, probably. Water. Okay, I like different kinds of bottled water. Okay, I just like go through this, like, what do I like? Okay, well, there's like a million different things I could do, right? I'll just reach out to 1 water company a week, with, hey, I'm Devin Nash. Like, my favorite brand of water is right here. It's this whatever grocery store bought water that I get. It's fantastic, actually. Oh my God, I want to work with you. How do we do it? By the way, here's my exact numbers that I know. Okay, right? Like, this is good. Like, this is really good. I'm reaching out to one of those water companies a week. You will eventually get somebody in that category. Like, it's just a matter of time. And just understand that we call this, in the marketing world and the sales world, we call this at-bats. How many swings do you get? All that matters, you will eventually hit a home run. Okay, no matter how bad you are. But you just have to keep pounding the pavement. You have to keep trying. 1 a day. Up to 3 to 5 a day maximum. Don't go crazy. If you go above that, then I promise you're not going to stay. It's not going to stay as a consistent discipline. But a lot of people think, like, yeah, I don't have time to find sponsors for my channel. I don't have time to do all this. Really? Like, okay, you can follow this template and you can reach out to 1 to 3 people a day. I don't care how busy you think you are. Okay, like, even for this YouTube channel is my side hustle. This is like something that I do just because I want to talk about this stuff and I want to help people out. Right? There's absolutely no real benefit to Novo or my business or whatever from doing this. So I often say that I don't have anything to sell you, right? Because I don't sell any products or whatever. You can like support me on Patreon. That's like optional, and I just do videos that I talk about. But the point being that this like whole channel, I could do this in 5-10 minutes a day, no problem, right? You can do this. Like, don't think that you're too busy to do this. Like, this is absolutely something you can do. Okay. So that's step 1 is, when do I start? Here's your numbers. Step 2, how much do I charge? Generally speaking, this is kind of like what you can work on. It gets a little bit more complicated than that, but hopefully I explained it okay. And then, how do I reach out to people? Bam, there's your template. You got everything. You're locked in. You're ready. You are ready to go get your first sponsor, and I hope you do. And if this works for you, leave a comment and it will make me really happy. Leave me a comment and tell me a story about how you reached out to a sponsor and this actually worked or didn't work or whatever, and I need to make another one of these videos clarifying some of my points. We are 45 minutes into this video and we're done. Thank you everybody for coming out. If you liked this, just hit the subscribe button. Go to Discord, discord.gg/Devin. That's where I hang out. And if you really want to, go to Patreon, patreon.com/Devin Nash, link in the description down below. And I've done like 50 videos so far about stuff like this, just usually more comprehensive like business stuff. And you can go there if you want. Don't feel the need to, though. I always upload this kind of stuff on the main channel. It will always be here for free. Thank you, everybody, for coming here, and I appreciate you. See you again next time. Bye.